Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for today, January 31st. I've been joined by council members Reich, Fry, and Quincy, which is a quorum of our committee. We have a lengthy consent agenda, items 7 through 19. I'll note that I have an amendment on item number 13, which is to amend to add teachers to the, where is staff on this? Do you want to explain it really quick? Ms. O'Brien, thank you.
Proposed is a $20,000 incentive for home buyers that are interested in purchasing vacant lots in North Minneapolis, with an additional $5,000 incentive for first responders from the city of Minneapolis, and the amendment would be to also include teachers.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to move that amendment to add teachers to item number 13. So item 7 is the regular licenses agenda. 8 is operating conditions for Game Pub. 9 is a change in the low-income housing tax credit reservation awards, taking some money from Ann's Prospect Park project and adding it to close out the Youth Link supportive housing project. Item 10 is a bond amendment for Seward Towers. 11 is a Great Streets facade improvement grant administration contracts. 12 is exclusive development rights with Build Wealth for a number of single-family properties. 13 are the guidelines for the infill development program. 14 is accepting grants, as is 15 and 16 and 17. Item 18 is a rental license reinstatement. Number 19 is a traffic management agreement with for TCF Bank Stadium with the University of Minnesota Regents. Are there any items anyone would like to pull 7 through 19, noting the amendment on item number 13? Seeing none, I'll move the entire consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. We'll then move to our first public hearing, which is a land sale at 205 Park Avenue to Sherman and Associates. Ms. Stern, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. I'm Emily Stern from CPED Business Development. What you have before you today is a staff recommendation to pass a resolution approving the sale of 205 Park to Sherman Associates Development, LLC for $3,250,000, and to approve the proposed redevelopment terms as described in the report and authorize staff to execute a redevelopment contract with the developer consistent with these terms. In August of 2016, the City Council awarded exclusive negotiating rights to Sherman Associates for the purchase and development of the city-owned property at 205 Park and authorized staff to negotiate the terms of a redevelopment agreement. Those terms, for which we are seeking the committee's approval today, include a number of minimum requirements. For the housing component of the project, Sherman will construct 115 rental units, with 20% of those units affordable to households with incomes at or below 60% of area median income. The development will also include 4 for-sale townhomes along Park Avenue. The project will have a total of 6,500 square feet of ground floor retail space split between 2 street corners. One space will be a bakery and a coffee shop, and the other a restaurant. Public amenities associated with the project include outdoor restaurant seating at both street corners, extensive landscaping and sustainable design features, a public pet relief area lining the adjacent parking ramp paid for by Sherman Associates. That's located right along here on the perimeter of the parking ramp. And exterior screening of the adjacent parking ramp facade, also paid for by Sherman. The $3.25 million purchase price is at or above fair market value as confirmed by a third-party appraisal of the property, and total development costs will be over $36 million. These and other terms are described more fully in the staff report and term sheet. The public benefits associated with this project. In addition to the land sale proceeds of $3.25 million that will accrue to the city, the project is expected to generate nearly $294,000 annually in local property and sales taxes. So in terms of next steps, subject to City Council approval of the staff recommendations, we expect to execute a redevelopment contract and close on the sale of the property by fall of this year. And Sherman expects to obtain city development approvals and entitlements for the project in the coming months, start construction in October of this year, and complete construction by March of 2019. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And George Sherman with Sherman Associates is also here and can answer questions about
Great.
this project.
Are there any questions for staff on item number 1? I have a couple of questions for Mr. Sherman with regard to the dog amenity, if he could. I asked staff these questions and they didn't have an answer, so I'm just checking in with you. Mr. Sherman, in your proposal, you said that you were going to work with dog grounds to build an off-leash dog area here. That has not happened, so I'm wondering if you can tell me more about your vision for the dog area. Is it a pet relief area open to the public? How will people get into it? Is it an off-leash dog park? Who's going to manage it? How big? How wide is the space that you're going to put it in? What is the total amount of square feet?
I'm George Sherman of Sherman Associates. The pet relief area will be open to the public, much as the one that is currently on the site. It is anticipated that we will have a written agreement with a nonprofit organization to help us maintain the facility, but we will be the ones responsible for the ultimate payment of the maintenance of the property and the oversight of the property. We would like, I understand that there's not been a formal agreement with the organization that you've talked about, but we intend to enter into those negotiations now. It will be our obligation to maintain the property as part of our ownership of the apartment building. And since the property will continue to be owned by the apartment building, it will be the public. There will be a public easement in favor of the public for the pet relief area. So,
is it going to be fenced?
I believe that there will be a fence, but it will be open to the public, just so that if you do allow your dog to run open in the fenced area, it won't run away from you. But the gate will be open to the public. But the dog can be taken off leash once it's inside of the relief area.
Okay, and with regard to building this out, you're just going to build it out?
We're just going to build it out.
With what kind? I mean, this has been my big thing on this project from the beginning, since the dog pet relief area, which we had as the demonstration's been there. I see this as a major improvement,
right,
but I've just seen no work happen on it to date. And I was at the board meeting last month, and there's been no conversations.
I will request that our staff forward you information on our discussions with the nonprofit, but it is our obligation, it is our commitment to build out the pet relief dollars with our dollars, pet relief area with our dollars, to fence it and to maintain it. Whether we ideally would like to have a professional organization maintain it, but if that is not possible, we will take that obligation, just as we do at other properties that we own for pet relief areas. But because of the strong desire to have a nonprofit organization maintain it, we are going to enter into those negotiations and hopefully come to a fruition or come to an agreeable solution with them. But at the end of the day, the dollars to pay for it will have to come from our operating budget for the apartments. There will be a public easement for the area. It is anticipated that it will be fenced, but open to the public so that dogs can be taken off the leash and allowed to roam within the fenced area.
Okay, I think this is a huge amenity for the whole neighborhood, and you know, as a property owner in the area, every building allows dogs, and there's nowhere.
We hope that everybody in the neighborhood is available will use this, and there will be a public amenity. We're building it at private dollars.
Great. Yeah, I think it's good. I just want to make sure it happens.
Okay, it will happen.
Okay, great. Other questions for Mr. Sherman or Ms. Stern? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 1, which is a land sale, approving a redevelopment contract, executing all of the necessary documents with the developer. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am exceedingly proud to move approval of this item. I think when the city always has an obligation to ensure that spaces in it meet the criteria and our overarching city goals. But when we own the parcel, I think that obligation is extended even further. So in this case, 205 Park was owned by the city. It's directly across the street from the Guthrie. It's one of the final linchpins to this specific neighborhood. And I think it fulfills every single one of the criteria that we were going after. We wanted a mixed income project, and we've got that. We've got both micro units, which will probably accommodate a younger population, as well as 20% at affordable housing, 60% of median income. I think that's awesome. We've got mixed use, both residential as well as 2 significant retail spaces on both corners, both on Washington as well as 2nd, a Kim Bartman restaurant as well as a bakery, which the neighborhood has been asking for quite some time. We've got a police substation to ensure that there is a constant presence of police in the area. We've got a public dog park on the back side. I'm thrilled. I'm really thrilled with this project. I want to commend staff. I want to thank Sherman and Associates. I want to thank the Neighborhood Association for working through a lot of these items. And I'll add, one of the final pieces is there's 4 owner-occupied units on the front side that have been altered, and thank you for altering them, so that they include a public kind of patio space to mimic that which is across the street. So I think this is emblematic of a lot of the great things that are happening in this area, and I'm really proud to move this forward.
On the motion to approve, further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 2, which is a land sale. Mr. Ramadan, welcome.
Madam Chair, council members, we have 1426 Penn Avenue North. The sale of the vacant housing recycling program policies for the program were established by the City Council on December the 11th, 2015. The staff recommends the sale of 1426 Penn Avenue North to William Woods for its appraised value of $28,000, subject to conditions. On October 23rd, 2015, the city acquired this duplex from Hennepin County as tax forfeited land for $25,000. In a previous action on April 29, 2016, the City Council approved the sale of the subject property to another purchaser. However, this purchaser failed to close, and an alternate purchaser was no longer interested as they had already purchased another property. So the staff remarketed the property and reviewed applications received in accordance with the Vacant House Recycling Program Manual. This property, as you know, was constructed in 1922. It's a 3,822 square foot, 6-bedroom, 2-bath duplex. Applicant intends to rehabilitate as a 3-bedroom, 1-bath each 2-unit home and sell the property exclusively to an owner-occupant. The applicant proposes to invest $150,800 to rehabilitate the property. CPED's construction management staff reviewed the scope of work and estimates submitted by the applicant and confirmed they are sufficient to meet the minimum rehabilitation standards of the Vacant Housing Recycling Program. 2 open houses were held for the property in November 2016, and notification was sent to a listserv of over 1,100. And I should also add that listserv has now grown to about 1,300 people because the program is receiving quite a bit of interest. There was only 1 application received for this property. Notification was provided to the Northside Residents Redevelopment Council. The staff received notification from NERC that the board approved this applicant on January 3rd, 2017. Mr. Woods was not able to be here today. However, we have one person that has worked with him and advised him on other properties, and the former city staff, Mr. Ed Mandeville, who is here today. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Mr. Ramadan on item number 2? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open the public hearing on item number 2, which is a land sale at 1426 Penn Avenue North. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Edward Manderville, born and raised North Minneapolis. I've been in housing for quite a number of years. I'm the founder of Northside Neighborhood Housing Services, and we've been very active in the community with loans for people, helping people fix up their homes. This particular property has been kind of an eyesore on Penn Avenue for quite a few years. I can speak to the validity of Mr. Woods, who he's been in our program at Neighborhood Housing Services ever since we started. We got quite a few projects that he's completed and finished, and he never had a complaint on his work and everything. So I'm awfully sure that he'll come in and do a nice job, and it'll be a value to the community, the type of work that he does. Okay.
Testimony and for coming down today.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of item number 2, the land sale.
Item number 2 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll then move on to item number 3, which is a land sale. Mr. Pettiford. You okay there?
Chair, committee members. I think I'm okay. What I have is a proposal for 3329 Nicollet Avenue South. The city acquired a foreclosed triplex and a 4-stall garage from the Community Land Bank under the stabilization program and demolished the structures. They were both in extremely poor condition, and it produced a lot size of 90 by 125 or 11,245 square feet. This development opportunity was publicly advertised on the city's website, and the city received 2 offers for this property. This property is zoned R4. An offer was received from Randy Hobbs proposing to build a 34-unit, 4 1/2-story apartment building. The proposed building would include 29 one-bedroom units and 5 two-bedrooms, all at market rents. To support this development, the site would require rezoning to R5. An offer was also received from Pocket Properties, Inc., Limited Liability Group, proposing to construct 12 units in 2 separate buildings on this site. Each building will have 3 townhouses and 3 apartments, all at market rents. There will be a shared courtyard between the buildings for parking. All townhomes will have ground floor works space and with large roll-up glass doors connected to the courtyard. The ground floor workshops are fully insulated and finished spaces that can be used for enclosed vehicle parking and or live-work studio space. Pocket Properties, Inc. has secured a commitment for construction loan financing from Doherty Financing Limited Liability Corp. Staff evaluated both proposals in accordance with the Vacant Housing Recycling Program procedures. As part of the process, staff considered financial feasibility, developer capacity and experience, consistency with zoning, project readiness, consistency with neighborhood's architectural fabric, approach to addressing parking needs, requests for city financing, consistency with the city's comprehensive plan and housing policy. Staff recommends Pocket Properties as the purchaser because of the information received in their plan is more complete and financially feasible. The project does not require rezoning. It fits well with the scale of the existing architecture of the block and offers its own off-street parking. The development team is more experienced and the project timeline is complete. The neighborhood reviewed both proposals during a 45-day public comment period and favors the lower density, larger family rental units as proposed by Pocket Properties Limited Liability Corp. Do you have any questions?
Are there any questions for Mr. Pettiford on item number 3? There was a very interesting Southwest Journal article about this that came out today also that I had the opportunity to read. Are there questions for Mr. Pettiford? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open the public hearing on item number 3, which is a land sale at 3329 Nicollet Avenue South. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is William Wells. I am the project architect on this development, and I've been working with the Neighborhood Association for many months on this. I just wanted to thank the Lindale Neighborhood Association. They have been a joy to work with. They have great planning. Their design guidelines were extremely clear and extremely helpful for the developer and I to follow. So I just wanted to thank Councilmember Glidden, and I wanted to thank the Lindale Neighborhood Association for working with us on this. There is another design phase we have to go through. But I just wanted to thank their neighborhood association for working with us.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for being here today. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move approval, and just want to say I think it's really makes I think a lot of us up here happy to hear that the developer is working very well with the neighborhood association as well as the council member. So happily move approval of that item.
Item number 3 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on now to our licenses and consumer services agenda, starting with item number 4. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an application by Green Manor Holdings, LLC, for an extended hours license to be operated in conjunction with a business known as the Blaisdell, formerly known as Blaisdell Manor, which is a banquet facility that's operated for many years at 2322 Blaisdell Avenue. This property has current authorized hours of operation from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. They seek to be open to midnight Monday through Wednesday, and Thursday through Sunday, 1 a.m. for this existing rental hall. A security plan was reviewed with the 5th Precinct inspector, and no specific recommendations were made there. A public hearing is required for this application. We did send 53 notices to residents and property owners within 300 feet of the premises. We also notified the Whittier Business Association and the Whittier Alliance Neighborhood Association. We received 2 responses from that mailing process. One was in support, one was opposed. The opposed respondent was worried about the lack of on-street or off-street parking and feared noise late at night. The other applicants supported it, with the exception of was worried about any bus idling, which we will review with the applicant. Based on our review of this application, staff's recommendation is that the applicant be granted the extended hours license.
Are there any questions for staff on item number 4? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 4, which is Green Manor Holdings new license. Yep, we haven't even opened the public hearing yet, but we're going to. It's okay. So we're going to open the public hearing on Green Manor Holdings doing business as the Blaisdell. This is a new license for extended hours. Is anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Probably the one that wrote the letter that was opposed.
There might have been, are you Jamie?
Nope.
So there's 2.
Okay. Well, I'm Sandra.
Oh, that was in support. Okay.
I own the property at 2222 Blaisdell. The majority of the property. It's a condominium. I own 11 of the 12. And I'm not happy about the proposal. I just feel like basically it's going to turn into a bar at night. Because people that stay that late are there to drink. And it's like, how do they monitor people coming and going just because they want to go and maybe they know a friend is there, say, let's go have a drink, come have a drink with me. Like, how do they monitor who comes and goes? Like, what prohibits it from just becoming basically a bar that people can kind of come and go? And my concerns are noise and when people have a lot to drink, sometimes the noise escalates, sometimes there's violence, and people are sloppy about parking. Like, we already have a lot of traffic on 22nd and Blaisdell, and it's going to make more traffic, more late night traffic of people getting in their cars. Groups that leave a bar at night are usually can be rowdy, and I just look at it as real detrimental to the neighborhood. It's supposedly a residential neighborhood primarily, and I think the residents need priority over. The only reason I see for extended hours is just for people to stay and drink longer.
Thank you for your testimony.
Yes.
Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Greg Autumn. I'm representing the owner, Nazir Khan, who owns the property at 2322 Blaisdell. This property has had 5 or 6 events already, and it stopped at 11 o'clock, but This property needs to have extended hours to compete with other event centers around the area. 1 o'clock is pretty typical of event centers around, whether they're in the city or outside the city limits, other neighborhoods. So I'd like to ask the council to approve this, to move forward, so that this property can be competitive.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Wilson, perhaps you could just explain the difference between a license for a rental hall versus a full liquor license in a bar, just to be able to ease this young lady's mind about why it wouldn't be a bar.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a rental hall license, and they do not have any kind of on-sale liquor license on this premise at all. It's very common for a rental hall or a banquet facility to have alcohol on premises, and it's usually done with a hosted liquor situation. So if it was a wedding, the parents of the bride and groom might bring wine and beer for them to serve. They could also have a liquor catering situation that is then overseen by somebody who holds an on-sale liquor license and they're responsible for the safe service of alcohol during that time. A rental hall operator is also responsible for what goes on inside as well as outside of that premises, and we hold them responsible for the things that occur there. If there are going to be unruly events there, we will find out about them, and we can do actions to curtail that or to even revoke the license. An extended hours license is only good for 1 year, and it can be reviewed at any time. And so I'm confident that my staff can monitor the events that will happen at Blaisdell, as this moves forward.
Okay, and I also just want to note this is a shorter hour than actual bar time would be. Bar time would be 2 in the morning, and this is 12 and 1. Well, actually, downtown is a residential neighborhood, and there are bars and restaurants throughout all of downtown. Even there's a bar in the building I used to live in. It's not incongruent to have residences close to bars and restaurants, and this is zoned appropriately for a rental hall. They will not have their own liquor license, so it's not going to turn into a nightclub. I'm just trying to reassure you this isn't like operating next to Sneaky Pete's, which is a great operator, by the way, downtown. So this is a rental hall license, and it closes before bar time and doesn't have its own liquor license. So I just want to clarify that for you, just so you understood that. Further comments or questions from the committee? Councilmember Quincy? No. I'll move approval of the staff recommendation on item number 4. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 5, which is Penny's Coffee. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Mr. Phillips, would you like to give the report? You can if you want. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Penny's Coffee LLC is operating a restaurant at 100 Washington Avenue South, and they have done so since August of 2016. They are seeking to upgrade that license to an on-sale wine with strong beer, Class D. This is located again at 100 Washington Avenue South, and it's the Downtown West Neighborhood, Ward 3. It is zoned B4. They have interior seating for 34 persons and intend to be open daily from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. This upgrade did require a public hearing. So we notified all persons who own property or reside within 450 feet of this premises. We did so on January 21st. We also notified the Downtown West Neighborhood Association. We received no responses from that mailing, and staff's recommendation is that the application be approved.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 5? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 5, which is approving an application, a new license for on-sale wine with strong beer for Penny's Coffee. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Welcome.
Madam Chair, council members, I'm Dean Phillips, chairman of Penny's Coffee. I'm grateful for your consideration of our beer and